everybody. Welcome back to the Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast, episode 91. 91. Can you believe it? I'm your host, Gene Jackson, coming to you as always from the Retro Wrestling Archive in Gadsden, Alabama, along with producer Smokey, working behind the scenes to make all this happen. And let me, right now, let's get right on into bringing on my co-host. First of all, he's your favorite podcaster's favorite podcaster. I think we used that one last week, but I didn't come up with a new one, and that's what my notes say. So here he is. He's your favorite podcaster, I'm sure. Josh Briley of P3 Radio. Josh, how you doing this morning?
Man, you're stretching it on out there, Gene, like a Laffy Taffy. But I'll take it however I can get it, as long as it's from the front. Man, how are you doing?
Man, I'm doing. We're halfway through February, and the job hunt continues. So that's stressing me a little more each and every day. But you know, at least I've got old wrestling to try to help keep my mind off of it. So
absolutely, it's gonna pay off though, Mean Gene. You're gonna be the CEO somewhere for this weight.
No, I'm gonna be bagging groceries somewhere probably, but. It's getting down to the wire, but speaking of unemployment, let's bring on our other co-host. He's the owner, founder, and president of STSpod.club, and currently Jonesboro, Arkansas's favorite resident. Spoiler alert, it's Brian Trammell. BT, what's up, sir?
Hey, man, what how the hell are y'all? Still unemployed since September the 1st. If there's anyone out there who would like to give me a job working from home, I would be in debt. My best friend Gene and my favorite co-host P3 Radio Josh. I'm glad y'all are doing good today. I'm getting buck and brought to you by Jolly Royal Furniture. Open an old account or reopen an old account or open a new account. That's 122 South Street in Memphis. And Spaghetti Warehouse, 40 West Hulling Avenue, Memphis, Tennessee. And Rob will be here not this coming Monday, but next Monday. We'll be hitting Jolly Royal to open up his account, and I'm getting a big lasagna at Spaghetti Warehouse. And I don't know if y'all can see, but there's like a second microphone over here. So new in the studio with BT, and Rob will be one of the first guests there. I want to make two notes. I said something about the feeding the Undertaker pizza or something like that on Patreon.
Yes. I don't think you mentioned that you fed it to him personally. That gives a whole different. The way you said that looks completely different than how I pictured in my head the last time. I just thought y'all were sharing a pizza. There was a pizza there, but now I see you like. Here you go, Mark. Get ready for the pizza plane.
We got to get an AI picture with that. So me feeding the Undertaker pizza. I mentioned something. I said, was he Mean Mark in USWA? This match that I talked about was actually from Dallas. It was USWA, I think, but it was from Dallas. And I've got him talking about it with Stone Cold Steve Austin. We'll watch it on Patreon. I believe we got something else. And also, Dangerous Conversations. I'm going to put you over all the time on that. But it is one of these shows that if you listen to all the stuff that these two guys know, but when y'all were talking about technology and the change and how pictures would, you couldn't do it, it really is the key to everything with professional wrestling. And it may be a podcast to do sometime. When you start with how wrestling was and how it is now, just look at the technology. Technology changed wrestling completely, like even all the way back to, when Henry Ford changed the way, with automobiles and everything. If you got TV, you got cable, you got streaming, every time there was a huge change, it was because of the technology. Just a great show. And me and you released Cassette Wrestling News episode 15 instead of doing that later. It's kind of a fun companion to this podcast, because the episode 15 that we released on the main feed is from July 1991, right smack in the middle of what we're doing right here. And so
we planned it that way, right, Brian?
We did. Yeah. That's why I want to release it then. So it would, that's it. Yeah.
This is the kind of sharp skills and planning you can bring to your business if you hire either or both of us folks. Yeah, it could have
right.
just been dumb luck. This could have just fell out in July at the same time. But no, we'd been plotting this for months, and it worked out to perfection. So
yeah.
we're proud of that. But no, it's a great series. Check out the Cassette Wrestling News. There's a lot of interesting stuff on there because in 91, I mean, you're not going to really find many other places in 91. Like, yeah, people talk to dirt sheets and they would get interviews printed, but to hear them actually talk to people and like this, I think he said it was Steve Austin that once said this was like the original podcast, and it really is. It's interesting.
Yeah, he put it over on his podcast one time. He was talking about Jeff. Jeff did UFC and all kinds of stuff, Jeff Osborne, and he was like, Jeff Osborne started podcasting because he sent out those cassettes, and Steve was a friend of Jeff's. When Steve was in USWA, he always talked to Jeff. And Jeff has, I mean, starting out, we've got a bunch of them on our Patreon all the time. If you like this series, you get them commercial free every week on Patreon until we run out of them. And then every other week's going to be on our main feeds. But they're really like, you know, even though we've got an episode out already where Danny Davis talked total shoot, no kayfabe whatsoever in 91. And so it's really weird how some of that stuff was done way ahead of kayfabe sheets. The only thing going at the time, I guess we had kayfabe sheets, but like you said, it was in print. It wasn't like hearing it come from there. Eddie Gilbert did it multiple times. Yeah. And also, we're right smack in the middle when Joe Goodhart left wrestling and just left everybody holding the bag.
Yeah, it was the big unsolved mystery of wrestling at the time.
Yeah, it's on Patreon now. That's where we're at on Patreon. And Dennis Carluzzo, oh my God, he has a lot to say about Joe Goodhart. Fun stuff. Yeah, it is. It's, man, I say time capsule all the time, but that's what it feels like. When I went through all these tapes, every time I listen to one of them, I'm like, man, all that stuff was going on, you know, and they give their own opinion on stuff, and it's kind of like a sketch show too. They got all kinds of shit going on with the host, so it's a total different thing that probably would be successful today. Well, not sending out cassettes, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, you know, you sent me all the ones with Eddie Gilbert back when me and Doug was working on the book. And I listened to those, and those were a great help and insight into that time period because there was a lot happening with Eddie's going, you know, from Memphis to WCW and then back again and everything. And he would come on there and just tell all of the behind the scenes, you know, what he was thinking and why and where and how and all that. So yeah, check those out for sure.
Owen Hart too. That was Owen Hart's first ever shoot, talking to people off the, you know, on the record, audio wise. And it's a real good interview with Owen talking about the difference between working in the US and Japan and stuff like that.
Yeah. And we see how that turned out. So
yeah, should have stayed in Japan, Owen.
Real quick before we get going, I want to give a shout out to a great listener and friend of the show, Russ Stiles. Me and him exchanged some messages yesterday, and he's enjoying all the different shows, and I'm always thrilled to hear that. It's cool to see good numbers, but you know, we kind of talked about it last week. You know, when you actually hear it, you know, directly from somebody, what they like and what they look forward to, that's really cool. So thank Russ for reaching out. We talk from time to time, and I just wanted to give him a shout out here, and also wanted to mention because this is what initially made him message me. Make sure you check out the new Retro Wrestling Review Continental Wrestling show with Rob Helt and myself. Getting a lot of great, I mean, it's been out, as we record this, it's been out on the main feeds for less than 24 hours, and it's getting a lot of hits, and I've already had several people reach out to me about it and say they enjoyed it, and people have reached out to Rob, which made him feel good, because Rob says he has imposter syndrome and doesn't feel he should be doing it, but he does a great job. I know you listen to it, BT.
I did. And I had the advanced copy. I got to listen to it. I really like it. But if you were a fan of Continental, or not even a fan, like we got a lot of people that joined us that didn't watch USWA during the period. But Continental is a very interesting story, and it has lots of people on it that are familiar with. You'll be familiar with their names. Fun show. I really liked it. Rob did a fantastic job. Rob's in the Ozarks right now, so shout out to Rob in the Ozarks on four-wheelers. So,
yeah, he's got a whole nother YouTube channel he's got going about that, but I'll let him tell you about that on the next episode of the Continental Show. Right now, We're almost 10 minutes in, so we've got to head back to July 27th, 1991. Dave Brown and Michael St. John are there for another episode of USWA Championship Wrestling. They tell us we got a big day today, and holy cow, we're going to see Jeff Jarrett take on Leatherface right here in the studio. We're going to see the Barroom Brawlers taking on Uncle Danny and TD Steele. What are they doing, Uncle Danny? Anyway, going to see Awesome Kong in action. Eric Embry and Dr. Tom Pritchard against Jerry Lawler and Bill Dundee. Now, I mean, you listen to those matches, that's big-time stuff for the studio, especially from what we've been seeing. You know, they seem to have fallen into this, you know, they had a big tag match every week. It'd either be a tag or a 6-man or an 8-man or whatever, and everything else would pretty much just be squashes. But, man, we're coming in hot this week as we've got some matches that almost sounds like a card for the Pipkins building, if we didn't know better. But right after that, we go right into, I didn't clip this because I didn't know if the song would end up being trouble down the line or something. But we get a music video. It's a special look at Jeff Jarrett and Robert Fuller set to the tune of that song, Walking in Memphis. And this video is literally the most literal use of that song because this video is really just Jeff and Robert Fuller walking around Memphis, pointing at things like two guys that's never been to Memphis in their entire life. They're just walking around. They're pointing at Graceland. There they are standing on the side of the road pointing at the bridge. Here they are walking down Beale Street. If you're watching on the video, you can see freeze frames. Here they are buying weed off some dude over on Beale Street. I can only assume.
I got a buying weed story for Patreon. It'll go right with that. So there we go.
Perfect. But anyway, so that's the video. Walking in Memphis, and these guys act like they're tourists that's never set foot in Memphis in their life. They've both been there, been around it all their lives. But anyway, what did you guys think of that video with Jeff and Robert?
Well, I remember seeing it for the first time as a kid, and I thought it was pretty cool because I was really into this partnership as a kid. They were like one of my new favorite tag teams because of that continued insertion of they're trying to split us up. This match could split us up. And, I was really into them, but like as an adult now, it's a little cheesy because like you say, I mean, it's like they're pointing to Graceland and you had one picture where it was Elvis Presley and all kind of shit written on us. Yeah, right there. And he's like, Jeff, this is Elvis Aaron Presley. You may have heard of him. It's like he's educating Jeff the entire thing. But, it was fun. Kind of like having fun with not as serious as the last recent weeks, though.
I love how they put in Elvis's face at the top of the screen, like they
faded it
superimposed and faded it in there, like the ghost of Elvis is standing there with him. And like you said, it feels like Robert is schooling Jeff. Now, there's Elvis Presley was played by Wayne Ferris. You might remember he's one of the Blonde Bombers. I don't know if your daddy taught you that or not, but anyway, I just wanted you to know that.
I was okay with the video, but I thought it was cheesy like y'all did. But after, it's like I love that song. I was reminded how much I love that song. I was like, man, I'm going to have to put that on my YouTube playlist. I love that song. But
they show them coming out of the airport, getting into a limo, and then they show them all walking around Memphis, and they come back and they show them get out of the limo at the airport again, like it's been all that time. Like now, they shot that all at once. That they shot them getting out, getting in the car, and then getting out of the car and going right back in all in one take there. But I liked that they added that little detail that they had to fly. Like, where are they flying out to? Where are they going? Like, Dallas is done. Where are they having to fly to? But who knows? So then we bring Jeff out for a promo, and this is the 1991 debut of the Code of Many Post-it Notes.
Does he have an action figure with this? I wrote that down. I think he does, doesn't he?
Not with that. No, not with that jacket.
Oh, I thought he did. I thought somebody made I thought it was Major Figures or somebody did one.
No, somebody might have made a custom, but no.
They should.
Next Next time you ask Jeff a round of questions, please ask him whose idea it was to make a coat that looks like it's just a bunch of Post-it notes stuck to his jacket.
Yeah, he'll probably say, I don't know. I don't remember.
Fucking pinata.
It's awful.
I put, oh my God, this is horrible.
He wore it out quite a few times in 93, and I thought maybe that's when it got made, but all of a sudden, boom, here he is in 91 wearing it, and it matches him. God-awful, Maybelline-themed tights he's wearing. I was like, dude, you come out to wrestle Leatherface in this get-up? And we'll get to that in a minute on his match with Leatherface. But so, he's out here by himself. Robert wasn't able to be here today. But, of course, luckily, they taped a promo together, pre-tape. So we get to see that. And you're never going to guess. This week, they're in a match. Guys, you're not going to believe this. You know what could happen if they end up losing this week?
I heard they could split.
They could split the team if they lose this match this week. It's
horrible. Jeez.
Taking on the Barroom Brawlers once again. This is a survival cage match. It's not your standard cage match. The match ends when both members of a team leave through the cage door. I don't know. I guess it's not a step backwards, but it almost feels like after you had that barroom brawl match with all the shit in the ring and everything, it almost feels like a cage match is going a step backwards, at least in danger. And I don't know. I guess even in this era, a cage match was the be-all, end-all of a feud. But I don't know. What did you guys think about this promo and the potential for this survival cage match?
I mean, I like the idea of it, but they're not very clear on so the whole time are both teams actively trying to escape the cage? I mean, or is it one of them deals where you got to pin the guy and then get out of the cage, kind of like a fucking nightmare cage match, just out the door, not over the top? But they weren't very clear. But I do like the idea of the brutality of it because, I mean, it's been pretty awesome. And as you'll see in the clips, did they already show the clips of the Pipkin building?
Not yet.
No, it's later.
I didn't clip any for this show, but if you watch this episode, you'll see some clips from that.
Yeah, absolute mayhem. So I feel like they're trying to notch it up and make it interesting. So I have okay hopes for it.
I wrote that stupid fucking Stip is back. Is what I wrote, and then the only thing I really liked about the promo, and I don't know if it's Jarrett's promo or the Jarrett Fuller promo. I watched this early in the week. But they go through all the people they've beat. Is it Jarrett? It's the Jarrett Fuller one, right? He goes through all the tag teams that they have beat in the feud. So I really like that because it's just reminding everybody, them as a team, they're still number one, but they beat all these other people. But I like that part of it. But, when they said Fuller wasn't here, and you'll tell what happens next, but as soon as they said Fuller wasn't here, there's going to be some shenanigans going on.
Yeah.
So
it's like y'all really got to stop announcing it when your partner's on here. Let them at least have the misconception that maybe Fuller's back there and he was just taking a dump or something and couldn't make it out for the promo. But so next up we've got Jeff Jarrett versus Leatherface, and hold on.
That's the way it's good, doesn't it, there, Jeff?
For some reason, when he said Fuller's taking a dump, all I can imagine is that big, huge man on like a tiny toilet, and thinking to myself, and I don't know why I thought this, but I bet you that Fuller can leave a big old hefty shit, right? I don't know why Fuller. I think Fuller actually poops a lot, but I think he does.
He's got to be. I bet it has a fishing reel on the side, though. That way it don't fall in the water while he's doing all that dumping.
He flops it over on his leg.
He throws it over his shoulder.
God, that went in the weeds there on that.
Yeah, we're talking about Colonel Parker's restroom habits. That's wow. In the first 20 minutes. Anyway, let's take a look at some clips from this Jeff Jarrett and Leatherface match, then we'll talk about it on the other side.
Yamamoto, looks like he has him in tow. And I'm happy to report it looks like he does not have that goofy chainsaw. today. Maybe Tojo finally prevailed on him to leave that thing alone.
Looks like Tojo's having a little. It shows early going in here, but does finally back Jeff over into the corner and begins to pound away on his head, Dave. And Jeff goes down, Leatherface going right for the chokehold.
Boy, that's the danger. He will choke you. He'll beat you side of the head. He has no regard for any of the rules.
Slings Jeff into the turnbuckle, follows through. Jeff moved out of the way and knocked him with a right hand off the ropes. Can he get him off his feet? He's got him staggered, and can he put him down? Boy, Jeff pouring all he's got in those right hands and does get him down.
Finally got him off his feet. Boy, you talking about being difficult to get down to the mat. Oh, my goodness, Jeff missed a drop kick. Oh.
Leatherface right away seizing that opportunity, going right after Jeff Jarrett.
Did you somebody say that Robert Fuller wasn't here today?
You're right. Yeah, he's not here today.
Well, that's too bad, because we're looking for trouble right now. And we don't care if this little punk by himself or not.
We ain't going to wait for his brother to get here. We're going to get in there right now and kick him.
Tell me what happened to that boy.
Wait a minute, Dave.
Oh, this is ridiculous. The Barroom Brawlers.
Jeff Jarrett sees them coming, though, pounding away on the Brawlers. One for the other Brawler, puts him into the turnbuckle, 3-on-1 in the ring.
These guys came in here, they just throw the referee out of the ring. And now it's 3 against 1. Leatherface and the Barroom Brawlers against Jeff. They know that Robert, they heard the interview, they knew Robert wasn't here.
First of all, how the hell do you bring Leatherface out without the chainsaw? What is Leatherface without the chainsaw? What are you going to bring? Hacksaw Jim Duggan out without his 2x4? I mean, Jake without his snake? I mean, as soon as it's quiet in the studio, like, and here comes Leatherface, and here comes Tojo leading him out without the chainsaw, I was like, this gimmick is dead if he don't have the... I mean, so what's your guess? Do you think this was an intentional thing? Or they get to the studio and go, did you bring the chainsaw? Like, no, I thought you were bringing the chainsaw. No, I didn't. Well, we put it in the back of Eddie Marlin's truck. Well, he flipped it again. It fell out. So that turned me off right from the beginning. You know, another thing, and BT maybe was going to mention this later or something. I don't know if he came across it. But when I was looking through, I guess it was the Observer, not the Torch, somewhere in here, Leatherface becomes Johnny Rotten, that guy that was Sid's buddy.
I didn't see that. No.
Apparently, the reveal of Ken Raper comes later, and somewhere right in here, he's Johnny Rotten.
Is this
So
ain't Johnny Rotten, I don't think.
Well, whatever his name he goes by. But
yeah, I know, but I don't think
his
this
real
is
name.
him. It doesn't feel
This
like
ain't in this match. He's too tall. But I'm just saying, keep an eye on Leatherface here, because it's like fucking independent Doink the Clowns at this point. It's just whoever the fuck will fit into this outfit, I guess.
Awesome.
So this one seemed tall. I'm thinking this must still be Brian Lee if that was truly him that had been there doing it. I don't know. Maybe he's riding over with Dirty White Boy or something.
He's living in Nashua at the time, so I don't know. Who else is in Nashua at the time? So
that's a fun game to play moving forward. Is watching Leatherface go from taller to shorter to chubbier to less chubby, all that, because there's a pretty big size differential between Dennis Knight, Brian Lee, Johnny Rotten, Ken Raper. Like, that's, if you put them in a police lineup, you would see 4 very different
body
size
type,
and shaped guys there. So, but overall, it wasn't. I mean, pretty decent match here. Leatherface still wrestled kind of like we talked about last week. Whoever this is still doing a good job of not wrestling like a wrestler, and then Jarrett held his own, but didn't make him look like shit either. So I don't know. What y'all think about this? And like you said, Stevie Wonder could have called the finish as soon as they said Robert's not here. It's like, well, all right, how long is this match going to go before the Barroom Brawlers jump in? And it wasn't long. I think we got 2 minutes of a match before they came out.
Yeah, you said it like, what is he without the chainsaw? I mean, it took a lot out of the presentation of it for sure. But, as you said, he's doing a good job of being the monster and not trying to be in there doing snapmares and shit. So it adds to the mystique and the believability, especially for me at this time being like 9 years old. I'm all in. But even then, I'm like, where's his fucking chainsaw? So maybe maybe this is a guy that didn't know he was going to be Leatherface before he got there this morning. And they're like, hey, by the way, bring a chainsaw. Well, I don't have one. Paul Neighbors gets pissed. She ain't got one in your fucking shed. No. Maybe that's why. But yeah, I liked it because it served its purpose. It didn't make Leatherface look like shit because you didn't have to beat him. And, the Barroom Brawlers tried to look vicious, but at first it was like, we're just going to come in there and get our ass whipped. And they did for a minute, but they did what they had to do by the end.
Yeah, Jeff always got to get his shine in no matter what. If it's a run in, he's got to get his shine in. Let me get these moves in first. He called it a double pile driver. I want you to know that was a double pile driver. I actually like this. And the thing with Leatherface and the chainsaw, I was thinking, and we'll know whether here's my guess. If we don't see it again on TV, it was because somebody at the TV station saw television and said, don't bring a fucking chainsaw into the TV studio again. So we may actually see that. If we see the chainsaw again on TV, then what I'm thinking just is not right. But yeah.
I kind of thought maybe that had something to do with it. Like Dave was like, we can't keep coming in here and filling this studio with smoke and exhaust from a chainsaw. But I mean, to me, if that's the case, if that is the problem, then maybe have like somebody representing TV5 come out there and be like, you can't have a chainsaw.
Right.
And blah, blah, blah. And then the whole gimmick to bringing him to the ring could be he's got the chainsaw with him and he's trying to start it. Every time you go to pull it, Tojo and Eric everybody's like, no, don't. They're going to kick us out. And then they have to take the chainsaw away from him. So at least you address it each time you see the chainsaw. He's trying to get it started.
Right, I like that. Yeah, I like
rather than just, he's here. He don't have his chainsaw. He's just, plain old Leatherface. But like I said, we'll follow the story as it unfolds here week to week and see if we can solve the mystery of the chainsaw. That's another one of those. I'm sure if you asked anybody who was there at the time, they'd be like, I don't know. Probably forgot the thing. Somebody probably stole it out of his truck. Who knows? But yeah, I'm sure Paul Neighbors had probably 3 chainsaws in his shed. If somebody would have gave him a heads up, he could have brought him a chainsaw if they were just missing a chainsaw. But yeah, to your point, like when the
take my shirt off.
No, he doesn't do that in this era. You can shave your head. You can shave your head all the way bald, but you can't take your shirt off. In the run-in, the Barroom Brawlers basically just had their heads stuck out there to get punched for the first, and then Leatherface comes over like, "Don't forget about me," and he punches him, and then they're like, "All right, that's enough." But then initially, it's clear they're just there to take those. And Jeff had such a unique way of he didn't have the Lawler, Eddie Gilbert, Jackie Fargo punch. He had that whole body motion where he would twist and come all the way like big uppercut style punches, and that always, even as a kid, that stood out to me watching the way Jeff threw punches. I mean, they looked good, but it was different than just about anybody else, I thought. But eventually he gets saved by Bill Dundee, Jerry Lawler, and Uncle Danny run in and finally help him, who's clutching his neck after the double pile driver, as Brian pointed out. It's not a spike pile driver. It's a double pile driver, which that to me sounds like 2 people doing pile drivers side by side. I don't know. Just doesn't quite suit it. But anyway, after that, we go to an interview with the Dirty White Boy and the Dirty White Girl. And I believe this probably was done without her knowledge, based on her reaction. This is not the ideal reaction you want for this question. And it's really weird. They're in the middle of this hot angle, and Dave's like, all this shit happened last week at the Pipkin. Well, before we get to all that wrestling bullshit, Dave, I got another question I want to ask. Check this out.
Yeah, but before I get into that, I'd like to get a little serious here with you, Dave. I got a few things on my mind that, as everybody knows, that I've been trying to turn my whole life around. I'm trying to do the right thing, and the people's been getting behind me, and I appreciate that. Thank y'all very much. But, you know, it's just a lot of things have been going on in my life, and I'm really trying to do the right thing. And me and Kim's been living together for about 4 years now, and you know, I love her with all my heart. I really do. I mean, this right here is what keeps me going. I know that I've done things in the past that hadn't been right, and I'm trying to do whatever I can to, I don't know, overcome it, just go on. But what I'd like to do right now is, baby, you know I love you with all my heart, and what I'm trying to say is, will you marry me? Oh. You know I love you, baby.
Yes.
All right. You heard it. All right.
Wow. I guess an official engagement right here, huh? Well,
I didn't
congratulations.
mean to embarrass you, baby, but, you know, yeah. Woo! Yes!
What about that reaction there? I mean, nothing about her reaction felt positive. Like the look on her, as soon as he starts saying all the stuff about, you know, I love you, and all that, she's the look on her face, it's like, what the fuck is he talking? And then when he asked, that initial look of, go back and watch that again if you've only watched it once or you hadn't watched it at all. Watch it again and just watch her face the entire time he's talking through, asking her to marry him, and afterward. It's a very strange reaction. I mean, I'm very clearly she didn't know it was coming, and I don't know. What would you guys take? Am I reading something into that that's not there? What do you think?
I think she probably did know, but I immediately, when I watched this shit, I went and checked WWF when Randy proposed to Liz out on camera on Superstar.
That was my question. Thank you, Josh.
And that was on that aired July the 6th. So this is a few weeks before. You know, I could see them trying to latch on to that momentum, and that you know, and Dirty White Boy repeated more than once, I'm trying to do the right thing, like he had been pretty much coached to say all this shit in a certain order. And then I truly believe Kim to be embarrassed of the situation. But, you know, if he was really coming correct, he would have had a ring and all this shit. So I think they were just trying to latch on to the moment. And, you know, Embry or Lawler, whoever's decision it was just go out there and do it. They'll think it's cool, even if it's half-assed, you know. But he should at least had a fucking ring box, at least a fucking ring box.
I mean, that's why I feel like maybe it wasn't really a booked thing, because I mean, any kind of booker would at least had an empty box to face away from the camera to give her, other than just like, hey, will you marry me? Yeah, all right, and hug, and then, all right, Monday night, blah, blah, blah. You know, it was awkwardly done. If it was part of the show, it was very poorly planned and awkwardly done. Trying to do the right thing. We've been shacking up together for the last 4 months.
We're living in sin, baby.
Her face when he said that was the best look of all. But
my granny's watching, Tony.
I thought, you know, that was the first question I had. Meltzer had made some kind of comment in Observer where he said, how original or something. So that I knew something that with Savage and Elizabeth that happened near this time. I didn't know it was that close. Felt real flat. And her reaction, do y'all remember when Luger would win a belt where he would jump up and down and carry? I actually have told young guys, go watch Luger win a belt. That's the way you should be reacting. That's the way she should have been reacting, because she should have been screaming, oh, yes, yes, yes. But she was just like, I can't believe. It looked like she was saying on her face, I can't believe he fucking did this kind of thing. So, yeah. And no ring. Where's the fucking ring?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Y'all may be right. Maybe this was a whole planned thing. But like I say, somebody should have coached her on how to react and had at least had a ring or something. because it just felt so just shoehorned in of like, hey, you got this big thing going on. No, wait a minute, Dave. Before I get into that, and he starts slicking his hair back. She looks awkward through the whole fucking thing, and then they just roll out of that back into talking about the feud with Eric Embry. It was just, I don't know, super awkward. Of course, the thing is, she was more excited to suggest Uncle Harruld than she was to accept his
cousin Harruld. He's a cuz.
His proposing marriage. Yeah, of course, the classic Randy Savage. Elizabeth, will you marry me? Like the inflection of his voice. You think he was reading off a fucking teleprompter if they hadn't been in the arena, because it's almost like, what's his name? The weather guy, the movie with Will Ferrell.
Ron Burgundy.
Yeah, and he doesn't read the teleprompter in the right, because it's like, will you marry me? Like, Jesus. So yeah, like I say, we move past it. We get into him getting beat down by Pritchard and Embry, and the Tojo beating up Paul Neighbors with the flagpole and putting a stomach claw on him.
That stomach claw got me, man. In 1921, a shirted, protected stomach claw. Like, yes, Tojo was going to get it.
Is this the clip you're talking about from the Pipkins building, and it had Eddie Marlin? Eddie Marlin actually tried to make the save there. Yeah. Was that? Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get a clip of it, but probably.
By the way, Marlin's got some good punches, y'all.
He does.
He's damn good punches.
That's, the shit's going down when he gets all split-legged and gets the one left leg way out like he's trying to surf on a big old longboard or something, and he starts shoveling in them fucking uppercuts. I love it.
And the whole studio pops with him as he throws the punches. You listen to this instance when he starts throwing the punches every time, you hear, ooh. But I noticed it like back in the 80s, he come out and made a save against Tojo and them for Jeff. And the same thing, the whole crowd is like, ooh, every punch he throws. So, yeah, if it was a matter of just standing in the ring and throwing punches, Eddie could still be on top right now, which I guess that's what makes him the star of the show.
Is this the segment where Cousin Harreld came out? And if it is, who is that guy?
No, he comes out later.
Okay, all right.
They all They hit the ring during the tag match with Lawler and Dundee. And
I remember now. Yeah, I got it wrote down. Yeah.
But the next up, so Dirty White Boy, he's proposed. They've talked about bringing Cousin Harreld, and of course Dirty White. It's funny because the implication of this the whole time seems like Cousin Harreld's somebody you should know who he is to some degree, because they don't go out of their way to explain it other than just. He's huge. He's 6 foot. Now, bear in mind when you see this clip in a little bit of him actually watch it. I don't think I have a clip of him coming out there, but I got some screenshots. But they say he's 6'9", 500 pounds. Now, wait till you see this guy. He's a big dude. He's nowhere even in the ballpark of 6'9" or 500 pounds. But he's so Kimberly says, "Hey, we should bring Cousin Harreld," and Tony Anthony's like, "No, he's not even a wrestler." Well, but he's big and he can fight. Well, Eric Embry and Tom Pritchard's reaction to this has got to be like top 5 funniest things they've done so far. This, if I wasn't going to clip anything else this entire show, this segment had to be clipped. So let's listen to Eric Embry and Tom Pritchard react to the threat of Dirty White Boy and Dirty White Girl bringing Cousin Harreld, as Eric Embry likes to say.
Cousin Harreld, did you say? Did he say Cousin Harreld? Cousin Harreld? 6'9". Big boy. 500 pounds. Here? Cousin Harreld. Cousin Harreld.
Yeah, that's what they call it, Cousin Harreld.
Cousin Harreld. Cousin Harreld. Well, you know, he ain't no wrestler. He knows how to fight. Well, hey, we know how to fight. Cousin Harreld. Harreld. You know, hey, you. Cousin Harreld. He sounds like he's probably from the sticks of Mississippi or something, huh?
Well, I have you to know he's from West Memphis, Arkansas, and he's
West Memphis, Arkansas. Hey, Cuzzun Harruld, man. He's a big city slicker, ain't he? He's a big old city slicker, man. West Memphis, Arkansas. But hey, white boy, I heard you say that you're gonna marry this tramp here. You think that's gonna make her...
Wait a minute, boy. Let me tell you something. This is gonna be unprofessional wrestling. You can cuss me all you want to, but you don't talk about my old lady like that. You understand me, pal? You guys, don't you walk around on me, boy, when I'm talking to you. You understand me?
What? Look out! Look out!
Pritchard and Embry doubling up on Tony Anthony. While Tojo and then this Texas got Cam over here. Here comes Eddie Marlin. Whoa! Oh! Eddie Marlin has about had enough of Eric Embry anyway. He nailed Pritchard and, oh my goodness, Embry just knocked him down.
You know, you can't leave well enough alone. Embry and Pritchard have got it. Here comes referee Paul Neighbors. He's going to come.
Oh!
White girl, he's going right after Tojo. Boy, I'll tell you, Paul Neighbors really surprises me. Look at him. Throwing those left hands.
Oh, we got a brawl going here all over the studio. Oh, look out. Pritchard's got Paul Neighbors from behind. Eric Embry has just jumped through the curtains. Looks like headed back toward his dressing area. Oh, look out, look out, look out, look out.
Just way late. Look out, look out. Oh, no. Eric Embry with that trash can, Dave. Where did he get that?
The free-for-all continues here. Tony Anthony lying on the...
Loved it.
I don't know when I've laughed at anything that hard on this season as I did the first time I heard Cuzzun Harruld. I just went on and on with that. Yeah, you heard it right there. The crowd reaction for Eddie Marlin's punches were tremendous. And as good as Eddie Marlin's punches were, Paul Neighbors' punches were 100,000 times worse. Did you see that punch he gave Tojo in the background?
It was like he was underwater.
I mean, yeah. There were more realistic punches thrown on the old Batman series with the POW coming across the screen. I mean, but, and man, Tony Anthony sold that trash can more than Lawler sold getting hit by a car. I mean, he sprawled out dead just like Embry did when they split the board over his head recently. He just laid out there, and that was it. And, of course, the reason Cuzzun Harruld doesn't show up in this segment, and he shows up later, because he hauled ass from West Memphis to get
That's
there
right.
once he saw it on the show, because Kimberly even pointed out, he's in West Memphis. He ain't that far away. So there was your clue right there that he's getting in the pickup truck, and he's headed over to Memphis right now. And I think Tony even says in the next promo that a 40-minute drive only took him 20 minutes to get there, and which I don't know what part of West Memphis he lives in that was 40 minutes away. But anyway, Cuzzun Harruld will show up later on. But that was, I don't know, that was just a fun segment all the way around there.
Oh, yeah. Absolute chaos already starting, and we're not even done. Then usually when something, you would view this as the peak, but I don't think we've peaked out yet.
No, I remember looking at the runtime on the YouTube when I was watching this, and I was like, damn, we broke out into a wild brawl and everything. We're not even halfway through the show. So more.
I loved Eddie's punches. Part of me loves stuff like that, but then it's almost like the number one heel, Embry, was taking an ass whipping from an old man. But it kind of reminded me when Bill Watts always came out of retirement and always sold out everywhere because of his match. That's kind of what it reminded me of. I don't know if Eddie could sell at Coliseum or whatever, Pipkins building, but those punches were great and the crowd was going crazy. Something else I noticed, and this is a total pervert in me, and I'll admit it. They did not, like, in my mind, Kimberly told the black girl, I'm sorry, Miss Texas, don't throw me down so they can see up my dress. because I don't have any panties on. Because every time she tried to grab her and throw it, she went to her knees one time so you wouldn't see anything up her dress. I was like, yeah, that girl didn't wear no drawers that day. I know she didn't have no drawers on.
And
But
you
that's
would
just
think
me.
if she knew she's getting proposed to, she would have some drawers on because they're trying to do the right thing.
We interview her. I need to ask her that, okay?
That's never happening. So, yeah, I figured Dave's like, you say you're doing the right thing, but then you're proposing to a girl that you say you've been shacking up with for 4 months, and she comes out on live Memphis
And she
Saturday
ain't
morning
wearing
TV
no
with no drawers on. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Corey been there. Throw her down, Jackie. Throw it down. So then we see some highlights of the Barroom Brawl match the previous week with trash cans and tables and bar stools and all this jazz, and it looked like it was a pretty wild match. Like I said, I just don't know. I guess in theory, on paper, a cage match sounds more serious, but really and truly, if like you came to me and like, all right, you can either have a ballroom brawl match or you can be in a cage. I'm like, put me in a cage. You're just gonna throw me against a fence, and I may have to juice, but I don't have to get hit with all that heavy shit that they were swinging around in there the week before, especially if Robert Fuller and Jeff Jarrett. People don't think of Jeff Jarrett as being a tough guy, but as we've talked about in the last few weeks, and BT confirmed with Jeff, he was swinging for the fences every time he swung a chair or any kind of weapon. Jeff's coming to do damage. So I would much rather, if I'm a ballroom brawler in 91, I'd much rather have this cage match than I would that damn barroom brawl match. But maybe that's just me.
Oh, I loved this clip.
Me too.
Like, I wish they would do shit like that now in wrestling, where you got the bar. It got me. Like when they're taking backdrops on it, some of it's demolishing, but it's still there, and they took more bumps on it. I love the way they incorporated all that shit, and it looked like absolute chaos. It was almost redeeming to me in a way of like, well, now I guess I will kind of pay attention when the barroom brawlers are on screen because I see what they're capable of. But this morning, though, where they did the run in, not so much.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's totally crazy brawl road. I loved it. Everybody was in it. The referees got into the action. Nothing got settled. I guess that's why you would put them in a cage. Barroom Brawlers do a promo after this, and I got to laughing because they said people were aggravated. They're aggravating us, is what they said. And I'm thinking, what, you could have a feud because somebody's aggravating you. Well, the reason I don't like Dirty White Boy is because he aggravates me. So I don't know. That to me, I just kept laughing about the Brawlers. We're going to feud with these two guys because they aggravate us.
You saying that reminded me when Jeff used to run around with that shirt that said, "Don't piss me off." Now I want Barroom Brawlers to have shirts that say, "Don't aggravate us."
That goes up on our shop. So there you go.
Here we go. You've made us another T-shirt. That's awesome. It's funny, like if you're just going back, if you're a fan on YouTube of old Memphis wrestling, and maybe you saw the '80s stuff and you didn't really see the '90s stuff or whatever, and you're just cherry picking random episodes from 91. Depending on what episode you watch, you could either be really impressed with the Barroom Brawlers or just be totally, like, your whole opinion of them would be, man, them guys suck. They didn't do shit. But if you see this clip, then your whole opinion changes. So it's kind of funny, from that initial run-in promo that first week, I was like, ugh, these guys are supposed to be vets. Like, how is that even possible? Then you see clips from next week, like, oh, okay, all right, these guys are pretty tough. And like you say, then they come out for this run-in with their heads stuck out to get hit. But it's funny to me, they've been here for a few weeks now, and we've yet to actually identify them singularly. They're just the Barroom Brawlers. And even, I think Michael St. John even says during some point when they're out here, like, we haven't even found these guys' names out yet.
The blonde one, and then he gets the dirty blonde one, like all
yeah. Oh,
Well, I bet if they were strong, good-looking guys, he'd have got their name by now.
Oh yeah.
Not to imply anything. Michael St. John actually liked and shared my one of my articles recently on Twitter. So I don't
Awesome.
make it very clear I'm not saying anything disparaging about Michael St. John. He's a great guy. We're just having fun. All right, so then we see the tag team match, Barroom Brawlers against, and this was the thing there for several weeks where we had this trend in early 91 where we're putting a pushed guy tagging with a guy who's more or less enhancement. But we hadn't seen that in several weeks until today. And even at the beginning of the program, when they hyped this match, like, we're going to see the Barroom Brawlers against Nightmare Danny Davis and TD Steele. A little bit later on, like, Dave almost whispered it, kind of like that he knew you couldn't justify that enthusiasm saying TD Steele's name based on how he'd been used up to that point. But I get the theory of it, though. But again, like we talked about before, Uncle Danny can go in and look strong, and then eventually they're gonna pin TD Steele. But no, not in this case. They don't have to pin anybody because old Double J's looking for some revenge. I almost wish I'd have got a clip of this. Did they get a deal on some boards that split down the middle or something? I mean, we had Tony Anthony split one over Eric Embry 2 weeks ago, and now Jeff comes in and first time it doesn't split, and then he splits it on the other guy. That just felt really weird for them to use a big flat board twice within 2 or 3 weeks' time. When there for a while, we didn't even keep weapons around. We're having to bring coffee pots and garbage cans and shit out of the office.
Well, they must have got like a deal at a discounted, like Lowe's had some shit on clearance or something, or Paul Neighbors was cleaning out his shop and like I got some boards y'all can use.
Look at these. Can we use these for anything? Yeah, bring them with you. We'll do something with them.
Like they discovered how to gimmick them, and I did replay this like in slow mo, and dude. The Barroom Brawler that actually splits on his arm. Like he throws his arm up and it's just bam like that. So I think they gimmicked it enough to where you still had to get a whomping on it, not so it wouldn't just fall apart out there. It sounded great though.
Oh yeah, for sure. And Jeff would come up with one of those again, and in '93 that promo where all the managers were out there together when he was feuding with Brian Christopher and his assortment of managers. You remember he come running out with that board and he hit, God, it was Zeke Rivers and Mike Samples and Burt Prentice and all those guys, and he come out and he hit 2 or 3 of them before the board finally split in two on one of them.
And then the guy that turned into an Arab guy at the end of 93. What was his
Mr.
deal?
Clyde.
Mr. Clyde got some board action.
That's right. I think that may have been the one that broke on was Ali bin Khan, a.k.a. Mr. Clyde. Childhood
You
friend
talk
of
about
the
TD
Lawlers.
Steele, but that crowd was putting him over like crazy. Did you hear them?
Oh,
they were
oh,
chanting
yeah.
TD, TD. And then Jarrett's promo cracked me up because he just got double pile driven. Double pile driven. There we go. And he's out there with that promo. It's just like, they didn't hit me. They
Didn't wrap a towel around his neck. I guess they didn't learn that trick until 93. Dundee at least would have had a damn Holiday Inn towel wrapped around his neck
at
real
least.
tight.
Come on.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Yeah, TD's one of them guys where the crowd wanted to be behind him, and they usually were because when he would do his when he would fire up, do his little Apollo Creed dance and shit, they would get behind it. They knew in the end he was going to lose, but I think maybe seeing him coming out tagging with the light heavyweight champion, they're like, "Oh shit, TD's time's here! Finally, they're going to start doing something with him."
Well, he was gimmicked up too. He had the hard hat, the steel on the back of it. So like, it wasn't just like Chris Frazier walking out. Like, he was more enthusiastic too, and he had to be a local guy. So hell, they may have known him.
Yeah, well, like I say, he's the only one that had some fire to him. Everybody else is come in with, just like we talked about them earlier, tags in with their head stuck out there, ready to get hit and have a. I mean, there's a couple of those guys, those job guys on there that had a moment to get some offense, and it's like they didn't even know what to do, and so then it pissed the heel off, and they shut them down even worse. But TD was always ready. He could have. The fans always got the impression, I think, that he could have snatched a win at any time.
But as we've seen, that fire got him in trouble in '93 when Coco beat the shit out of him and Miss Texas at the same time.
Yes. Did the fucking river dance on his ass out there after he got through punching the shit. I wish I had that clip to show right now. Boy, that was rough. So up next, we see Awesome Kong taking on Freezer Thompson. And they may wish they'd have saved some of those boards if they were breaking over people's heads to replace on the ring after this match. I got to say, I was kind of impressed by something here. You know, to look at Awesome Kong, you're just like, well, okay, well, he's just a big fat dude. Well, he's pretty damn strong. Let's take a look at a couple of spots in this match that completely shocked me, that kind of changed my, rushed opinion of Awesome Kong.
A refrigerator hitting it. Absolutely. And Thompson has just hit the mat. Kong celebrating a little bit, much to the displeasure of the crowd. The crowd really does not like Awesome Kong. I'm with him.
He's going to try to pick Freezer. Look at this. That's the first time I think I can ever remember Freezer Thompson being picked up and body slammed in the middle of the ring.
Better call the paramedics, because that boy hurt.
Well, it is getting his way with the big man Freezer Thompson. Going to pick him up again. Pulls him up and slams him down, and Freezer Thompson.
Oh, I hope we've got that on videotape, because there are very few men in the world that can do that to Freezer Thompson. Oh, my goodness.
There's the splash.
Yep, that may do it.
2, 3. Referee Paul Neighbors.
Dave apparently worried we weren't recording this episode of USW. Hope we got that on tape. Well, I hope so, Dave. You got to send it to 5 towns after this is over with. But that was a nice show of strength there by Awesome Kong, because Freezer may have jumped, but that first one was all him, because that dude didn't touch him until he was already up in the air, and he finally kind of braced himself on a Kong's stomach, but he didn't push off his leg or anything. But like I say, I wrestled Freezer Thompson, and I wouldn't have even considered trying to body slam that guy. Let's do it twice. So, but they really are trying to sell Kong as a credible challenger for Lawler here. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment, about Lawler coming out and talking about his match with Kong. They run a video here to try to sell us on Monday night. We're going to have a match, and everybody be careful not to spoil your answers for later, because I know this is going to be the one that cinches it for everybody on buying a ticket. Paul Neighbors versus Tojo Yamamoto is going to be a one-on-one singles match Monday night. So we get a clip of why. We see again the Tojo throws powder in his face, or I guess if he's Japanese, it's supposed to be salt. Then the flagpole getting involved, the abdominal stomach claw, the whole bit. So that's one of the big matches coming up Monday night. It's going to be Tojo Yamamoto taking on referee Paul Neighbors. And then Jerry Lawler comes out. I didn't clip any of this because I didn't want Party Pooper, who doesn't like Reggie B. Fine, to get upset with us. So they better not do Reggie B 2 weeks in a row. But here's Lawler. He's got his shiny jacket on, got the unified title around his waist, and he sells us on what a competitive match he had with Awesome Kong, and he was lucky to get it out of there with the gold, and that Reggie is still wanting that gold. And to get it, he's willing to put up all of the gold he owns. And Reggie comes out looking like Mr. T. All of a sudden, he's got on multiple chains around his neck, multiple watches, bracelets, rings. He even took his gold teeth out. And he's got this pile of gold like he's at the pawn shop on the desk. And he's putting it all on the line against Jerry Lawler's belt. Now, we're going to let Josh answer first, because I can already see BT shaking his head. I'm guessing this one didn't do anything to win him over on Reggie B. Josh, what did you think about Lawler coming out and putting over Awesome Kong as a credible contender and trying to sell all of us on the idea of coming and watching that match again because Reggie B's putting up all his gold?
I think it was great, because he did kind of undercut the the potential risk of what Awesome Kong could do last week, I thought. Yeah. And then he did, but he made sure to put it over. And dude, I didn't get to say, but like, You were right. That Awesome Kong match that we saw versus Freezer Thompson did 1,000 times better for him and the presentation of him than it did with, I even forget who the match was last week,
Oh,
but
take a guess of who would not be impressive in a match against anyone.
Chris Frazier. Yeah. That's, but yeah, that this match 100% better. And I like that Lawler came out and reiterated, no, like he is a force. I was impressed. He basically put him over.
Yeah.
And but when Reggie B comes out, oh my God. That was, I rewound it over and over again. Whenever he taught a life lesson. Something that I have 3 things in life that are most important to me: my gold, my cars, and my women's. Like, I live by that.
Oh,
Does the gold come first for you too?
Absolutely.
I like that he was having so much problem getting those necklaces off that finally Lawler goes, "Well, you don't have to take all of them off. I believe you. They're all gold." Because he was getting so hung up and getting those off, he couldn't hardly do his promo. So Lawler just like, quit. All right, BT, let us have it.
no. He said he kept rewinding. I kept fast forwarding. So I'm not a fan. The thing, I will give him props, though, that bump he did when Awesome Kong hit him in the corner.
Oh, the flare bump.
He did the flare bump. It was hilarious. I absolutely loved that. Other than that, I just can't deal with Reggie B. Fine. So
that's so disappointing. I'm telling you, it's Richard and Melvin Penrod all over again. He's gonna shit all over our good time every week.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm not going to. I'm just not a fan. That's all I'll say.
I mean, is it just strictly your racism, or is there something?
Yeah. I think it is. I think it's just strictly that.
I feel like y'all had some bad dealings at some point, like
possibly
maybe one of those gold chains he's wearing. He swiped from BT Express in a dressing room or something. Yeah, Lawler said his concern wasn't that he was going to win the match and find out all the gold was fake. He believed the gold was real. He was afraid that as soon as he won the match and got all Reggie B's gold, he was going to be arrested for receiving stolen merchandise.
I like that. Yeah, that was hilarious.
My thing with Reggie is he's fun, like as an undercard guy, because he's funny, like BT described. He takes that funny bump after the splash in the corner, and it's eye-rolling and silly, but it's entertaining. But it's hard sometimes to pass that off as the main event angle. Like when the mid-card comedy guy that's always just been kind of here for laughs and doing jobs and whatever is now suddenly managing the top heel in the main event. He's got to say and do funny things because that's his shtick. But then again, they always say funny doesn't equate money. So I can understand where that could be an issue. I don't know. I find him too entertaining to get too hung up on it. But I wish we had every week we had a how many people were there to kind of measure that, because some weeks we have it and some weeks we don't. I'm thinking this is a week we don't. Do you have this week's attendance?
I can't remember. By the way, did I mention that Lawler did a fan? Y'all mentioned that, but no. Yeah, I got the fans for this show.
Okay, great. I look forward to that.
Lawler did a fantastic job putting over Awesome Kong. You both mentioned that, but I wanted to say that he had shit on him last week, but to get a rematch, we wondered why they didn't put the belt on him last week. We were talking about it to get him over, but Lawler put him over big time on that promo.
That was a talent that Lawler had that, I don't know, he didn't always, when he wanted to use it, he could use it and it worked well. I mean, Lawler could go out there and cut a promo, and if he wanted to, could make you believe that the popcorn guy is a credible threat this Monday night, and he's worried about it, and, he's going to need everybody there to back him up. And also in times like last week, if he's not into it, he don't put him over at all, and then you're just like, okay, well, this is just a match to have a match. But I think, kind of like us, I think probably the only thing he had seen of Awesome Kong was that match with Frazier, and he probably thought, oh, shit, I got to try to sell a main event with this guy. And he went out and did a half-hearted promo last week, plus the Reggie B comedy aspect of things. And just like Awesome Kong kind of won us over in this match with Freezer Thompson, I figure in the course of his match with Lawler, Lawler realized, like, oh, shit, this is a guy. I can make money with this guy. We can do something with him. And that's why his tune completely changed on this week's television. But I was listening to an old episode of Between the Sheets where they had brought on Scott Bowden. They were talking about 1985 because I listened to it a while back as me and Ray Russell was doing the 1985 show. And so I was seeing what was being said, back around that time. And, Bowden, they were talking to Bowden about how there was times that Lawler could make it feel like that AWA World Championship match that Monday night was going to be the biggest freaking thing ever. And then there's a couple of times in there where, for whatever reason, he seems annoyed or whatever, and he's just kind of like, yeah, I got a title match Monday, Didn't go into the whole, this is my lifelong dream. And so sometimes it felt like the biggest thing in the world, and other times it didn't. And he went through this whole spell in 85. If you go back and watch 85, where he seemed like he was phoning it in through half the year. Like the match he had with Eddie Gilbert where it was supposed to run Jimmy Hart out of town, even though Jimmy had already left town a week prior and was already in the WWF. Those promos were not classic Jerry Lawler promos like, oh, God, I got to go down there and see this. He was just kind of like, yeah, when I beat you Monday night, Eddie Gilbert, Jimmy Hart will be out of here, and then it's on to looking for the world title again. So he can make a match and break a match, but I agree with y'all. This is an instance where suddenly between his match with Freezer and then that promo from Lawler, I have a whole new outlook on Awesome Kong going forward. So after that, that stuff with Reggie B goes on for quite a bit, it feels like.
Yes, feels like forever.
So then they tell where they're going to be, and they're Jonesboro, Ripley, Grenada, blah 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 blah. Then we get a promo from Eddie Marlin talking about the stipulation in Jonesboro that night, lumberjack match between Lawler and Embry, and he's assigning himself as a lumberjack, and he hopes Lawler throws Eric Embry to his side because he's going to do a number on his head.
I loved that. I loved it. And that's his town, too. Let's remember, Eddie Marlin's town is Jonesboro. He tried to get that crowd up there, so.
Hey, good job, because, just based on, even though everything was geared towards selling Monday night, that whole deal sold Jonesboro that night, what they saw the fighting amongst Eddie Marlin.
If you'll notice, Eddie does a lot of that when it comes to Jonesboro, and if he's not there, you don't see anyone walking out to say, we're going to be in Jonesboro, we're going to do this. But, that being his town meant a lot to him to get a good crowd.
Just like that time in 93 when we were watching, and he trots out the Harlem Knights, their first time in the studio.
We're going to be,
He's like, look at these two big bastards. They're going to be in Jonesboro tonight.
Yep,
You need to get out there and see them. Right, guys? Yeah, we're coming to Jonesboro tonight. Yeah. Like, oh, God, they ain't ready for promos, Eddie. Let's not throw a microphone in their face just yet. So next up, our expiration of time match, Eric Embry and Tom Pritchard versus Jerry Lawler and Bill Dundee. And, man, just a couple of weeks ago when Lawler's chasing Embry all over the studio, if you'd have said, hey, in a couple of weeks we're going to have Lawler and Dundee against Embry and Pritchard right here on TV, it would have been hard to believe. But, of course, the first fall ends up getting stopped immediately because Cuzzun Harruld made it up from West Memphis, Arkansas. And, like I said, I didn't get a clip of it, but here's a shot, and you can kind of, based on the size of Miss Kimberly there, that he didn't look 6'9" to me, or maybe he's close to it, I guess. But I just feel like if Sid was standing there, Sid would probably be a head taller than him, right?
He's at least 6'5", 6'6", because Dirty White Boy's over 6 foot, right?
I'm thinking 6'6" is fair. I think 6'9" is an exaggeration. I don't think he's quite 500 pounds.
But for every inch of height that he has, it looks like he's missing. I'll refrain from that joke.
Hey, he might not be wearing no drawers neither.
Well, Miss Kimberly better hope not, or she better hope he's not Robert Fuller.
Cousin Howard, he's standing awful close to. You know how it is in Arkansas.
Well, he's from Arkansas. Even if that really is his cousin, that don't.
It don't matter. Yeah, it don't matter in Arkansas.
Like rolling your own.
Did this guy ever become anybody?
No.
Okay.
I did. I looked everywhere I could find on him. and he had a couple of matches here as Cuzzun Harreld. It makes me wonder. I feel like maybe he's like a school student of somebody's school around there, and then he did a couple matches, and they realized he didn't have it, and they just kind of went away because he shows up, he does this, and then he's gone. So I don't know. I feel like maybe that was a guy that they were training in a wrestling school, and they threw him in this, and then either he didn't like Melvin Penrod, he decided he wanted out, or they decided he needed to be out. I don't know, but yeah.
Lawler loved the hillbilly gimmick too. Later on, he gets another guy he wrestles, feuds with as a hillbilly. He just loves the hillbilly gimmick.
Yeah, we would see a lot of big old hillbillies over the years, all the way back to when Lawler brought in Stan Frazier and claimed he was driving through the back roads of Mississippi and saw him out there pulling a plow himself.
But that was Kamala that he's seen in. No, forget it.
No, he probably did, but that wasn't the story they told anyway. But Lawler's like, I stopped the car and I bought him right there on the spot. 2 coats of paint, and you got a main eventer. Anyway, second fall ends in a double count out, and there was no way these 4 guys were going to be in the ring and have any kind of finish in this. It was just the fun of seeing these guys actually wrestle each other on TV. Again, like I say, in the middle of it there, they brought Harreld over and cut the promo that he made the 45-minute drive in 20 minutes, and he says nobody messes with his cousin. He didn't say that. Tony Anthony said it for him because apparently he couldn't muster a sentence. And he looks like he probably couldn't. Embry comes out and complains about Cuzzun Harreld, and he's mad that Eddie Marlin's going to be the special referee.
Fire me!
Either you back down and put another referee in there, or you fire me.
Big goof. The big goof.
Marlin responds he would love to fire Embry, but it would just be doing him a favor, allowing him to avoid this match. So he's going to be the special referee. Embry is not fired, and he will still have to participate in this match. That's
Embry definitely called him more than a big goof. I'm surprised Dave didn't get fired up.
Did he call him the retard? I don't remember that.
Yeah,
I don't hear that.
It registers on Dave's face. Oh, my gosh. Dave has just a complete aversion to that word specifically.
I can get it. I know what Dave does. I mean, I've got friends like that. So, yeah, I mean, it offends me too. But, no, I don't. But, yeah, I can get why he's offended. But it's just so funny seeing it. I'll have to go back and listen now. All I heard was fire me and big goof. Did you now we had the second fall. You already covered that, right?
Yeah.
All right. I wanted to say something about the second fall. Michael St. John. Is it Michael St. John or Michael St. John's? I want to call you Michael St. John's.
No S on the end.
Oh, God. Here we go. Pipkins and Michael St.
Come see Michael St. John's at the Pipkins.
Kroger's and Walmart's and he says bulldog. He calls a DDT, a fucking DDT, a bulldog. He says his finishing move a bulldog, and I'm like, that's not a bulldog. And did y'all notice how much heat Bill Dundee took? Did Bill Dundee do that all the time when it came to matches? I wonder when Lawler and him were tag team, did he just take a bunch of heat and then Lawler came in and pulled the strap, boom, boom, boom? Because, man, he took a lot of heat in that last fall.
That was
big,
usually it.
The big miscommunication, too. I bet he got at least razzed in the back. I mean, like,
yeah, they got hit.
He was trying to get the fire going, do the little flip for the tag, and
Lawler
was on it before. He just flipped up, and you could hear the fans even went, "Oh!" like that whenever he falls all over him. I love it. But that goes to show you, though, even the fucking the Dundee had probably been in wrestling since the fucking 60s or something. It's 91, Lawler, early 70s. The professors can fuck up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I forgot to mention earlier. I wanted to say too. I thought it was funny that whenever Embry made fun of him wanting to marry Dirty White Girl, and Dirty White Boy bows up and says, hey, you can cuss me all you want, but don't you talk about my old lady. I'm like, well, that's got to make her feel good. They're not even married yet, and he's already calling you his old lady.
Oh, they don't have to be married to call you an old lady, so there you go.
Yeah, so that was.
They've been shacking up. That's his
4
old lady
months.
now. Damn
4
it.
months.
Years.
But no, I agree with you, BT. I get why Dave Brown's upset. I was, whenever people make fun of my retarded friend, I'm always like, hey, you leave BT out of this. You
That's
say
right.
what you want about me.
I'll have him come down here and shake your hand.
That's right. Don't eat any peanut butter around BT. If it's at BT's house, do not eat the peanut butter.
Check it on Patreon if you want to hear the explanation of that. But right now, let's take our podcast commercial break, and then we're going to come back and find out the card for Monday night, which we've already heard a couple of the matches, but there might be a match or two there that'll surprise you. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, Ray Russell here. Lots of new stuff happening here at WrestleCopia. If you haven't checked out our website at WrestleCopia.com, it's a great way to keep up with the latest episodes of all of your favorite Copia programming, from the Wrestling Memory Grenade to Regional Wrestling with the Territory Talk, the Wrestling Stoop with the legendary Bob Roop, and of course all of those programs also available at your favorite podcast streaming platforms. And if you want to stay up to date with everything going on in the Copia world, all the latest news, random thoughts, fun videos, pictures, and more, make sure to join the more than 33,000 followers over at Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. Don't be left out. And last but definitely not least, it's what keeps the entire machine going. I'm talking about Patreon.com/WrestleCopia. We appreciate your support in helping us pay the bills to keep the WrestleCopia Podcast Network running and enabling us to continue to bring you all the quality programming that we offer.
The Retro Wrestling Review. WCW Podcast is a bi-weekly podcast where Gene Jackson and Bob Anderson go back and watch all the WCW pay-per-views and Clash of the Champions events starting in 1989. Listen in on your favorite podcast platform or watch along with the guys over at patreon.com/Retro Wrestling Archive. New episodes drop every 2 weeks, but you can catch them a week early on Patreon.
Tired of the same boring wrestling podcast? Need something with attitude, chaos, and maybe just a little cussing? That's STSpod.club, and we got it all covered. We've got wrestling weirdness with WTF News Desk, 5-minute time limit, and the southern fried brain of me, BT, steering the whole ship. We also have rolling into Memphis every week about the current Memphis wrestling. Interviews, hot takes, and wrestling outrageousness so wild it might get you banned in 12 states. That's right, it's SDSpod.club, or search all podcast catchers for Shooting the Shiznit, where wrestling podcasts grow chest hair. Not sure what that meant. Love my mama.
All right, we are back, and now it's time to hear what all this craziness has led to for Monday night at the Pipkins building.
It all starts. The box office will be open Monday at 10 o'clock, so you can pick up your tickets in advance. And you might seriously consider doing that because the crowds have just been tremendous at the Pipkin building. Got a triple main event coming up Monday night. Parking, of course, is going to be free. Danny Davis will be going against Leatherface in what should be some kind of opening match. You know, a lot of times on opening matches you think, well, it's the opening match. But in recent weeks, and look at this is an example. You got Danny Davis, the light heavyweight champion, man has held the belt many times, and Leatherface, that huge guy who was in here a little bit earlier today, and that's just the opener Monday night. Following that, Randy Harris is going to be back. He will be going against superstar Bill Dundee. Following that, a grudge match. Interesting one here. We'll have more to say about this one a little bit later on. The referee, Paul Neighbors, you know him. You also know Tojo Yamamoto. Well, these two have quite a grudge going, and Paul got to Tojo over here just briefly, but then Tojo nailed him back too. Well, maybe they'll just continue it, and perhaps with more satisfaction, I suppose, than they got today. Referee Paul Neighbors against Tojo Yamamoto. Then, survival cage match. No referee in the cage. Losing team splits the team. Jeff Jarrett and Robert Fuller against the Barroom Brawlers. And Jeff and Robert, with their taped interview, talked a little bit about this one. This one is going to be a tough match to win for either team.
It's a unique match, too. It is a survival match, and there's some stipulations that are different than a cage match. So as it ends up, there'll be no referee in the cage, and somebody's going to end up on the floor. And then, of course, the loser of the match splits the team. Jeff and Robert trying to hold on to those world titles. And I tell you, these Barroom Brawlers, they've already showed us here today what they're made of, and they aren't very nice people, that's for sure.
They don't mind jumping you from behind, 2-on-1, whatever it takes. A 2-on-1 is what it could be, because in order to win the match, your team, both of you, have to be able to walk out of the cage or get out of the cage at the same time. That's the way you win the match. Survival cage match coming up. Then a return world heavyweight title match. The King, Jerry Lawler, will be going against the huge, awesome Kong. Reggie B. Fine will be in the corner. The world heavyweight title will be on the line. But then, the main event of the night, the third main event, 6-person tag team match. Special referee is going to be Eddie Marlin, Dirty White Boy, Tony Anthony, Dirty White Girl, Kim, and Cuzzun Harruld. Now, I don't know anything about Cuzzun Harruld except what Tony and Kim have said. They describe him as being huge, and they say he can really fight. He will be there with them. Eric Embry, Tom Pritchard, and Miss Texas with Tojo Yamamoto in their corner on the other side. What a night. Get ready. Monday night, 8.
Cousin Harreld. You gonna bring Cousin Harreld? I got tickled because Pritchard got so into it too when they were doing that.
it was Piper too. It was his Piper imitation saying Cousin Harreld.
Cousin Harreld. Oh, he's gonna bring Cousin Harreld down here. Yeah. Dr. Roddy Piper. So there you go. Poor Bill goes from being in the televised main event to wrestling Heartbreaker Harris down there, the guy that ran Doug Gilbert out of town apparently last week. Doug wrestled him, and then he wasn't anywhere to be found. He went to Japan around this time, and when he came back from Japan, it was time for the Dark Patriot to invade Global. So Doug may pop back in here and there, but he's pretty much going to be out for a little while now that Global's getting going. And of course, Eddie Gilbert's going to be in Global, and then eventually we'll be watching a USWA episode of 92, and he'll come strolling out with the GWF North American title belt on TV after leaving over a dispute. But we'll get there soon enough. So there's the card, guys. What was your... These are really going to suck for the next several weeks because it's going to be like a foregone conclusion what BT's least favorite part of the show is. But
yeah, just skip me on out.
At least Josh can surprise us. What was your maybe we'll do it like a minute, like on yours. What was your least favorite part besides Reggie B? But Josh, what was your least favorite part of the show?
It's Leatherface showing up without the implement. Nightmare on Elm Street would have been a very different movie if Freddy was just like strangling people. You know what I mean? Like he has to have his weapon. Even Jason, I want to see that motherfucker with a goddamn machete or a shovel or some shit. But yeah, it took so much out of it. Yeah. Having him show up. Even with Tojo out there manning the chains and letting him loose and the craziness of it, it's not the same. It doesn't have that big of a fear effect. At least, like you're talking about, at least bring that son of a bitch out not running if you have to. That way, the thought of he might do it. But, yeah, that was just absolute nonsense.
You know what had the same effect on me as Leatherface showing up with no chainsaw?
What's that?
When Uncle Danny showed up in Smoky Mountain with no star on his face.
Oh.
Felt weird, man. It just didn't
Nitro.
Right.
He was Nitro Danny Davis.
And that's before Monday Nitro, so they took that from Uncle Danny. They should have had to pay him, but anyway. All right, so not counting Reggie B. Fine, what was your least favorite part of the show?
Look, Reggie B. Fine was the least favorite part. Maybe Cousin Harreld, maybe. I love
Cousin Harreld? You Cousin Harreld?
So...
Yeah, I
was never a big hillbilly hillbilly gimmicks.
Well, you don't like R-word people either. So
no, I don't.
You don't like Reggie because he's black. You don't like Cuzzun Harruld because he's special. Thank God there's not any anyway. So for me, I'm going to co-sign Josh's. I mean, y'all know how much I like the pandemonium of him coming in the studio with the chainsaw going and the smoke everywhere, watching Dave Brown's face as he coughed and trying to clear the air. Come on, quit bringing them out here.
Coming into the studio.
That goofy chainsaw. There's nothing goofy about it, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, you'll think it's goofy when he comes over there and parts your hair with it. I mean, I wish Lance would have been there for Leatherface one week because that would be, come on.
He'd have his hammer out.
Around me with that thing, and of course, Corey. Ooh, ridiculous! He got a chainsaw in here. That's ridiculous. Get him out of here with that chainsaw. Yeah, I've had a couple people message saying, when's Corey Macklin coming back? We missed the Corey Macklin impression, and they missed Burt Prentice. And I was like, well, you're in luck, because we're going to see those guys sooner or later in 91. So there you go. All right, so what was your most favorite part of this week's show?
It's got to be the redemption of Awesome Kong and everything surrounding that. The Lawler promo and his interaction with Reggie and the sacrifice of the gold and stuff. Like I love that entire thing. And yeah, I absolutely like. I don't know if I showed it enough, but I was just supremely disappointed in Awesome Kong last week because I thought that. I'm not rose-colored glasses, goddamn ultraviolet red glasses is the way I was viewing it. And I didn't understand why, but here we are. I've seen this as well and totally redeemed himself.
I want to go back and say one of the worst parts was Dirty White Girl's reaction for the marriage proposal. That was pretty bad. The whole segment fell flat. I liked Embry on every promo here and loved watching Marlin punching him and him selling those punches. So that was my favorite part.
Yeah, from an entertainment aspect, I got to go Eric Embry and Pritchard on the Uncle Harreld stuff. If I'm analyzing it from a review perspective, and you can take Reggie B out of the equation. But if you just look at Jerry Lawler's portion of that promo and what we talked about earlier, the fact that he came in and you come out of this episode between his match and Lawler's promo, you come out of this episode with a completely different view of Awesome Kong. And it's just, and I know we get to a point sometimes where we kind of roll our eyes at some of Lawler's promos, and he gets to a point sometimes where he falls in these ruts where every other week he's threatening to have a hot night at the Mid-South Coliseum or Pipkins Building or whatever it may be. It just goes to show how great Lawler was at a promo, and when he wanted to, he could make you believe whatever it is he's selling out there, and then he can turn around and tell you about the softball game coming up, or they're going to be at the video store this afternoon. But before that, you're totally locked into whatever he's saying, and this was just a great example of that, I think. So, and yeah, I'm glad BT brought that up. Whether it was unplanned and she was caught completely off guard or it was completely laid out, her reaction to the marriage proposal just ruined that. I mean, I felt horrible. Bad for Tony Anthony. Tony Anthony's a great guy, and I just felt bad for him at the end of that.
She had probably suffered through 4 years of, we're common law married now. We ain't got to have no fucking paper says that. And then he comes out on TV and says this shit.
Yeah. She probably, when are you going to ask me to marry you? When are you going to ask me to marry you? And then he does it, and all the way home he's like, I finally asked you to marry you on fucking TV in front of the whole fucking world, or at least North Tennessee. And that's how you react? Oh, when we get home, I might be trying to do the right thing in wrestling, but when we get home, it's going to be the wrong thing for you, bitch. I'm just kidding. We're just joking. Tony Anthony was not an abusive husband that we know of. All right, so taking all of that into consideration and hearing the full card there, are we buying a ticket to go to the show Monday night?
Yes. Even if I only saw that it was Uncle Danny versus Leatherface. That right there alone just terrified me. And I thought that, well, if he does bring the chainsaw, he might cut off one of his arms or some shit. Like it's very illogical thinking at that age. But
yeah, I can see
I was
it.
scared for my family, man.
That's right, and you knew that he wasn't going to do too much damage to Uncle Danny, even with his chainsaw, because
I don't play.
even with a chainsaw. So, BT.
Yeah, I'm going because of the Lawler promo saying that Awesome Kong was tough. So I'm thinking to myself, he's going to win the belt. Also, 1991, I had been around the business a lot, so I kind of thought we were going to see Lawler lose because they would actually put somebody else over, and just the idea of Embry and Pritchard and Dirty White Girl. And Anthony, not big cousin Harreld fan, but and just for a guilty pleasure, Paul Neighbors against Tojo. I just want to see that. So for some reason, but yeah,
I'm saved the best for last, Josh.
Yeah,
saved the best for last. All that other stuff, yeah, but the real reason
I
want to see Paul Neighbors and Tojo Yamamoto. Plus, we got to know if they have to split the team. I mean,
that's right. Yep.
God forbid the team gets split and we're not there. We would be kicking ourselves in the ass for the rest of our lives. Like, where were you the night they split Jeff Jarrett and Robert Fuller? Well, I didn't go that night because cousin Harreld was there, and anyway, I won't finish that. So, all right. Well, now I'm interested to see, now that I know that you have the attendance on this, because there's some other things at play here too, but we'll see what all you got, BT.
All right.
Hit us with it.
Cool beans. We went to Jonesboro, Arkansas first that Saturday night. We had Leatherface beat Davis. Danny Davis. Anthony beat Pritchard. White Girl beat Miss Texas. Pritchard and Jarrett. It's what it says. Pritchard and Jarrett beat the Brawlers. Jarrett won an 8-man battle royal, and Lawler beat Embry in the lumberjack match. Then we go to Memphis with 850 fans. Bill Dundee beats Randy Harris. Danny Davis, and Josh would have been pissed. He kept the light heavyweight title, beating Brian Christopher. Leatherface no-showed. Referee Paul Neighbors beat Tojo. Jeff Jarrett, I know it's going to surprise y'all, but Jeff Jarrett and Robert Fuller kept the USWA tag team titles, beating the Barroom Brawlers in a match where the losing team had to split up. Awesome Kong beat Lawler for the USWA world title. So we know why Lawler was putting him over, because he was going to win the belt. Tom Pritchard, Eric Embry, Miss Texas went to a no contest with Tony Anthony, cousin Harreld, and Dirty White Girl in the main event. And the big news is, are you ready?
Yes.
Jarrett Promotions and the Mid-South Coliseum have settled their problems, and Jarrett will return to the building on 8/5. Coliseum management, get this. I did not know this, and I don't even know if it's a fact, because sometimes Meltzer puts shit in there that's not true. But apparently WCW was going to make regular appearances in the Coliseum, and it did not happen. So they're letting USWA come back.
Well, that's not a big one to end on at the Pipkin building with 800 people, and now we got to try to put enough money in the Coliseum next week to pay whatever it is we're having to pay, which I'm sure is 4 times more than we paid for the Pipkin building. So it's good news to hear they're coming back, but man, if you look up and down that card for something that's going to be a big, hey, we're back, come on down to the Coliseum this week, I don't know what we're going to spin out of this week's show. I mean, other than hoping everybody wants to come see Lawler try to get his unified title back from Awesome Kong. But still, it's a step in the right direction, because I don't know. I mean, there were so many good aspects of the Pipkin building. We've talked about a lot here about the fact, that it was, everybody was right there on the action. It didn't look so empty and all that. But still, it just feels less than to say that, at the Pipkin building and not the Mid-South. I mean, we've all had to stop ourselves multiple times and going, at the Mid-South, the Pipkin building.
I got a question, Gene. Can you remember? I think the biggest crowd, though, we ever had at the Pipkin building was like 1,200, right?
Yeah.
I may be wrong, but that was...
12 was about the max. I think
so
close to the max that it even hold, because every time I had bringing in extra chairs and shit for that.
Yeah, but that's not a good crowd at 850. I guess people didn't care about Awesome Kong, even though Lawler put him over. But yeah, it'd be fun to see them back in the Coliseum. We seem to get results easier too, because someone was reporting them from the Coliseum. Even gave us a lot more gates. So I'm excited about them going back, but I wonder what their deal was. Is their deal the same? Because like you said, 850 people is not going to pay anything for the Mid-South Coliseum.
Yeah, surely the Coliseum backed off something because, they left because, I guess they were trying to squeeze them out because they thought they were having a regular deal with WCW. But even so, they were having all them costs for parking and bringing in security and all the different added expenses they had, not to mention the rent being more. So hopefully, they were able to make it affordable. But it was, and the thing that I read, which is probably the same thing you read, it was said in there that the Coliseum didn't realize how much those weekly wrestling shows was contributing to them throughout the year. And I don't think WCW ever probably could have came there enough to offset that, honestly.
Well, they got parking too. Don't you pay for parking at the Mid-South Coliseum?
Yes.
I don't remember because I'm not trying to.
Because they've been hammering that free parking over here at the
Yeah.
building.
So
and every now and again on Monday night, and free parking. And as a kid, I always go, so? But then when I got older and realized you were paying $12 sometimes to park your car, well, that is a consideration.
25 now, so yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But yeah, that's what I was thinking, that the Mid-South Coliseum, committee probably said, look, we're losing. Look at this money we lost in parking, and plus, the percentage we're getting. But if it's
I'm
not
sure they got all the concessions.
Yeah, I thought so too. But it's not 850 people is going to be horrible in the Coliseum. So
yeah, that's going to be rough. So we'll follow that closely as we move forward. But right now, it's that time. BT, tell us what's happening over at stspod.club this week.
Well, every day we do the Shiznit Minute, talk about the current wrestling scene. This past Saturday, we did Rolling into Memphis, number 260. Damn good brawl between Sue Young and DDT in the main event. Man, those two girls have a great match together. There's two of them on television that's worth watching. A light week coming up, as I've put out a bunch of episodes already this month, and me and Gene's going to do some Patreon stuff. So nothing new coming. Let's talk about P3 Radio real quick. 3 out of 5 hoots for P3 Radio. The podcast always talks about videos but never gives you links. I say that every week, Josh, but I want to apologize. We give a lot of video links for WTF. We watch a lot of videos and shorts, and we never give the links either. So too much trouble. Too much trouble.
But you know who does? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh. And what was the name of the title? I didn't write the title down. P3 Radio.
It was Lesson Learned.
Lesson Learned. All right. P3 Radio, a Shiznit Minute brought to you by Smokey. Episode 445. Richard's turning gay after his mental breakdown. Josh talks about gas pumps up the ass. They talk about childhood, how the childhood and what you look at when you're a kid shapes your porn taste. I want to talk about that on Patreon. Getting in trouble in school, that's always fun to listen to. I love Richard's poor stories because, damn, I can relate. We were poor too. There was an AI song about Meemaw. Josh would not put it over, but I liked it.
I'm fucking sick of the goddamn AI bullshit.
All right. Thanks. Richard had a bunch of tech stuff he didn't know anything about. Kenyan lions are gay. Josh got caught flogging the dolphin when he came back from surgery. And Richard spent time asking how long it's been since you've been to the dentist. All right, there we go. Thank you.
Producer
And by the
Smokey
way,
got him
we got a Richard episode up on the retro review. It came out this week with me sitting down with Richard talking about P3 Radio. Fun episode, by the way.
Yes, the two enemies sit down and agree to call a truce long enough to have.
I don't know if they were enemies at that point in life. That was early on, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was. No, we weren't.
They liked each other back then.
That was before the Randy Travis incident. So
yeah, that changed everything. But
That's
somehow Josh
somehow
Josh doesn't get heat off that. Just Richard. It's strange.
I think Richard's refusal to acknowledge the situation is serious was more
I
infuriating than
think Josh
actual
actually
content.
watching the TV shows and showing up to talk about them is actually what makes Josh better than Richard. So there you go.
Oh, he didn't. Josh didn't tap out after one season and have a breakdown.
Uh,
You think that's what? You think that's what did it? You think a year of 1993 USWA and us putting over Melvin Penrod is what led to Richard's?
It's his mental break.
He's
like,
turning
mental
gay too already, and that knee is still hurting. So man, that was a bad mental break.
Yeah, if he couldn't handle 93, I don't think he could have handled Texas versus Tennessee. I think Eric Emery would have done him in. I really do. But I don't know, though. He really didn't like the Harlem Nights. He didn't like Melvin Penrod. He didn't like the Harlem Nights. So I don't know if it's just he didn't like fat people or black people or fat black people. I don't know. But that's a topic for another day. Probably better to be said on Patreon, right? Let's go to RetroWrestlingArchive.club. Instead of me reading off a bunch of links here every week, you can just go to RetroWrestlingArchive.club. They're all there. All the different podcasts, the YouTube channel, the Patreon, all of it is in one convenient location. Just go down the line, pick the one you want, click on it, and you can check out all the different podcasts, which, like I said, I counted it up. I'm involved in way too many podcasts, and it seems like we just keep adding more. But I'm looking forward to that one that me and BT's going to be doing soon about Ozark Mountain Wrestling and Burt Prentice. Doug and Tommy talked about Burt Prentice some on this week's episode of the Dangerous Conversation show. If you hadn't heard that yet, check that out.
Podcast.com.
Even talked about old Ronnie P. Gossett a bit on there, and I played a clip for them of Burt Prentice and Ronnie P. squaring off on the mic, and they had some fun stories coming out of that. So make sure you check that out. And I also, my co-host for the Continental show that we put over at the top of the show, told me that he had heat because he did not realize until last week when I put the picture on the screen that producer Smokey is actually my cat. I was like, well, there's no reason you should have realized that because that's actually an old gag from Cheap Heat TV Live when I used to do the show with Xanders and them. And at that time, I did the show like in my living room. And at different times, Smokey would jump up and he'd look into the camera sometimes, or he'd walk on the couch behind me, and he was making all these cameos. So we just thought it was funny to make him the producer. And I didn't really do that here through the whole first season. I just randomly threw it in because one morning I was sitting here recording this, and Smokey was actually sitting over there in the recliner looking at me, and I felt like he was judging me because I wasn't mentioning him. So I made a couple of mentions. BT kind of latched onto it. And I legitimately had gotten a couple of messages of people going, who's producer Smokey? Why does he never come on screen? So that's why I put his picture on the screen.
He's backstage, damn it. That's what
he's busy.
Yeah.
He's one of he's not Eddie Marlin. He doesn't have to be seen on screen.
That's right.
He's content with being a difference behind the scenes. But yeah, Rob was like, I had no idea. And I was like, well, that was the idea.
That's
so
fun.
There you go. But I'm sure we'll talk about it some more on the next Continental show. But anyway, that's it for this week. Please come join us on Patreon for the Hot Mics After Show. You never know what's going to happen there. BT's already teased a couple things, but this week, one of the things we're going to do, we are going to go back and watch the infamous Gypsy Joe versus New Jack match and discuss it as we look over it. So that should be interesting. Plus, you never know what else is going to come up, especially when BT's involved. So we'll catch you here next week for another episode of the Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast.
Love my mama.
I do as well.